And General Motors is on the defensive this morning after 2 days of Capitol Hill testimony by its CEO. Senators grilled Mary Barra Wednesday about why a defect linked to 13 deaths was kept from the public for a decade. Jeff Glor has been covering the story for weeks and was at the hearing in Washington. Jeff, good morning.
Nora, good morning to you. Wednesday's Senate hearing was more intense and focused than Tuesday's hearing in the House. But as lawmakers try to advance the investigation, GM's leader insisted the company is on its own timetable.
I don't have the complete facts to share with you today.
Mary Barra started at GM in 1980 and held upper-level management positions for more than a decade before taking over as CEO in January. She says she learned about a defect linked to at least 13 deaths 2 months ago.
Within General Motors, there were silos, and as information was known in one part of the business, for instance, the legal team, it didn't necessarily get communicated as effectively as it should have been to other parts, for instance, the engineering team.
Barra blamed an old GM focused on cost and lack of communication.
If this is the new GM leadership, it's pretty lacking.
A culture of cover-up that allowed an engineer at General Motors to lie under oath.
One issue, this email shows many GM employees were aware of the defect as early as 2005. When a key is inserted into the ignition, the problem was in the back of the ignition switch assembly. This part, called the detent plunger, was too short and did not fit snugly into its slots. That looseness meant the key could spontaneously twist, turning the car off and disabling safety features. The replacement plunger is 15% longer than the defective one, snugly fitting into position and holding that key in place.
We now know that the difference between this switch and one that would have worked was the difference between life and death.
No recall came until 9 years later. On Wednesday, Barra continued to plead ignorance. Senator Barbara Boxer.
I am very disappointed, really, as a woman to woman. I am very disappointed because the culture that you are representing here today is a culture of the status quo.
Barra was asked multiple times if GM deceived the government in 2009 by taking a bailout without revealing these ignition problems. Bankruptcy gave the company immunity from prior accident claims. Barra says the compensation issue, like GM's internal review, has not been settled. That internal investigation will take 45 to 60 days. Charlie?
Thank you, Jeff.